number 13.
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Readjust real quick.
Yeah, I want to lean back a little bit today because I'm more relaxed now that we're up to 13.
Okay. Yeah. We said 28 and it becomes a habit, correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay,
I've not researched it.
Next one
It's halfway.
All
right.
Okay. I like these little tiny
It's
milestones.
Yeah, for sure.
Easier than trying to just jump to the big one or
Yeah.
anything. So that's cool. All right. Lucky number 13. Feeling good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I just was in a daze running all the Cadaver Dog songs.
I think you've been in a daze all day.
Well, you know that if I get canceled on
Yeah.
and I suddenly have an off day,
Your world
I'm off.
is rocked.
Oh, it's the absolute worst.
Rocked. Most people would be like, day off. Like, cool. I'll like relax. I'll catch up on things.
That's the worst. I hate it.
And it's not fun.
Nothing ruins my life more.
It's so true.
The bane of my existence is a day off.
I tend to I'm just going to focus on what I need to do, and you can just kind of move around me, or I'll move around you, but we won't collide.
Well, and sort of right now, like we're waiting for the permits from the city.
Yeah.
So we can't do anything on the construction side of our lives. And then I wrapped up all the holiday commissions, any little side quests.
Well, yeah, when we found out that your appointment wasn't going to be able to come today, I was like, well, what projects do you have?
Yeah.
And you were just silent. I think for the first time, like, you didn't have another active project happening.
Well,
I was a little concerned.
There are, but not really. So I rearranged the studio a bit.
Yeah, which is a project we've been talking about.
Some tiny side quests, which it was perfect. I'm like, you're if you're bored, you're boring.
If you're bored, you're boring.
You're fucking boring.
I feel like I heard that phrase for the first time somewhat recently in the past few years, and it's so true. It's one of my favorite sayings now. It really is. I don't say it very often, but when I hear it, I'm like, you know what? That is so true.
There's never not a task
Yeah.
that could not be accomplished.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is something I think about all the time. If, the maybe 3 times a year where I am actually caught up on sort of any of my just work that always needs to be done, computer work's done, house is clean, I don't know, just the shit that I normally have to do. I can always be playing guitar.
You could always be playing guitar.
I can always be getting better at guitar. Yeah. So there's really never a moment where I'm like, you've done it all.
Right.
And that's fine.
You're always self-improving, Well, it's the thing that drives me nuts about the truck drivers. Did we mention that?
We've talked about it, but I don't think we've talked about it on here.
Well, the whole thing is like I got 3 truck drivers I tattoo. And they're all very sweet, but they drive for FedEx and they do the same route from here to Indianapolis and back. And from Columbus, it's 3 hours, one highway each way. So a 6-hour route. Somewhere in there, they stop, they do food, they load their truck. But, 8-hour shift or whatever, Indy and back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, that's amazing. It's just one highway. What are you guys?
Alone.
You're alone.
In your truck.
What are you doing on the drive? Are you learning a language? Are you listening to history?
Yeah. Just podcasts galore.
Or how are you maximizing this time? Because the drive's real fucking boring. They've expressed that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's become, extremely muscle memory.
Oh my God, it's just one highway there and back. And then all 3 of them independently are like, nah, man, we just bullshit on the CB radio.
Yeah.
They just give each other shit the entire drive there and back.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't even listen to podcasts?
Yeah.
Bro? How are you not? Blows my mind.
But it's socializing. And maybe for them, who knows what their family lives are like. If, they're always just tied up with kids or something. It's like, this is actually their time to be together.
Right.
To catch up with one another. But I get what you're saying, though.
Yes.
I get it. It's like, you could almost be double dipping at this point.
Oh my God.
You're getting
you could be
paid to do this drive. You could be getting paid.
You could be listening to law books. You could get a degree in that time or something,
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. It's just a very funny thing. How was your day?
It was good. It was very good. It started out at -5 degrees. So
we went to the gym though. We did it. We pushed through.
When I looked at my phone and I saw the temperature, and obviously there's cold sweeping across the country.
Oh, it's amazing right now.
The South is covered in snow. Both my parents and my sister are in the Hilton Head, Savannah area. Tons of snow. My mom went down to the beach. Snow on the beach.
I want to see. Did she send a photo?
She sent some pictures.
It's
pretty wild. It's wild. You know, obviously up in New England, those beaches get
course.
snow all the time. So I have seen the
Right.
beach and
But
the snow
Hilton
before.
Head is
But
not
to be
getting-
down
yeah.
in those southern beaches, just
New Orleans looks
completely-
crazy.
I haven't
Bourbon's-
even seen
Bourbon
pictures.
Street under snow looks
Oh my
wild.
god, it's probably really charming
It
because you're
is.
just covering up all the grime.
Yeah. It does look less grimy for sure.
Yeah. So that was kind of a fun thing to follow along. Watching my sister's dog play on the snow for the first time was very charming. But yeah, just the cold, man, too cold to ride.
Yeah.
So I went out and ran Richie around and just had some little QT time with him. QT with the cutie.
Right, I get it.
But otherwise, actually just really productive computer work day. And I mean, the big news of the day, we're going to Chuck E. Cheese.
We're going to Chuck E. Cheese this evening
I'm so excited.
for a 40th birthday party.
I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everyone's aware of Chuck E. Cheese. They've
Of
been
course.
around for a long time.
I think adults go pretty regularly.
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, I am pretty sure I've been one time. I have a memory of a Chuck E. Cheese, but this, I mean, I would have been younger than probably 9
Right.
at this point. And so I'm like, is it a memory or is it like a dream memory? Is it sort of like what I picture a Chuck E. Cheese to be like, but I never actually went, but I've heard about it for so long.
I'm so curious about how it's been updated.
Yeah, I mean, the weirdest thing was I was driving today.
Yeah.
I had CNBC on XM radio, and they were like, and coming up next, the CEO of Chuck E. Cheese. And I was like,
How?
of all the
Yeah.
days and years and decades,
Yeah, why today?
today, the day that I'm actually
You're
going.
going.
But he was hyping it up. He said, I mean, so I think they filed for bankruptcy
I recall
a
that,
few years
yeah.
ago. And then this has sort of been like their comeback. I didn't catch all of it. Supposedly they make their pizza from scratch.
Yeah.
That was sort of the one thing that he was like really honing in on. But I think just the whole experience is supposed to be more quality, safer, I'm sure. But no, I'm very curious to see what this strip mall, which I feel like they're all kind of in a strip mall.
You need a pretty big footprint.
Yeah, you do need a, but like, I don't think I've ever seen a standalone Chuck E. Cheese.
I think I've seen standalone.
Yeah,
But
you're probably right.
we'll see.
We'll find out.
I mean, the word on the street is they replaced the ball pit with a trampoline.
We might have sort of made that up, but
We'll report back
find
with our Chuck E. Cheese
But yeah, the
findings.
idea of a ball pit, I mean, I guess still fun. Pretty gross.
I ain't getting in it.
I'm probably not getting in it.
No, I will play. I like the games. I like the speed games where you're trying to like. There's like the one where the light goes around and you try and like.
Oh yeah. Oh duh. Yeah. I keep forgetting. Like, what do you do at Chuck E. Cheese?
Oh, we're gonna
It's
play
like a
games.
whole arcade.
Yeah. We'll get a bunch of tickets.
The Rat
We'll
Casino.
spend like $60 and
Yeah.
we'll get a prize that's worth like $2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great scheme.
but we might win big. I'll win you a stuffed animal.
I don't need a stuffed animal.
You sure?
We have no room for a stuffed animal.
We'll see what they got. They
Yeah.
got claw machines, but yeah, a lot of games of chance, and
Yeah.
fun light games and stuff.
Yeah. That'll be interesting.
I don't think they have the animatronics anymore, but that was what they were famous for. Remember
Oh,
the
yeah.
band?
Oh,
So like
yeah.
every 30 minutes,
Why would you not have that anymore?
I don't know. We'll
They
find
probably
out.
just broke.
Yeah.
It's like, don't make new ones. Nobody really cared.
Well, it's like bowling alleys, pinball machines. Like
Yeah.
people are losing the knowledge.
Oh yeah,
how to repair and do
that
them.
was so interesting. At the athletic club,
Mm-hmm.
the original bowling alley, or what was it? Something about the bowling pin
Mm-hmm.
mechanism to bring him up and reset him and stuff. Is it either the current mechanic or what they had before?
What they had before
What-
there was only one guy.
There was one guy, like in basically the nation. I
Yeah.
think he was based out of Michigan, which was miraculously
and I
close
mean, the
for us.
athletic club has been there for so long.
Right. My point though is there was only one guy
Yeah.
to fix it. So if it went down and it really required the mechanic, well, you better hope that he's
Mm-hmm.
going to be in the area sometime soon. Or you're down that lane, and I mean it's all of a 4 or 6 lane bowling alley. But
Yeah.
so when you don't have one,
It's a big
it kind of
thing.
makes it a big deal.
I remember, so in Nashville, we've gotten a bunch of our music mastered by the same company, Grover.
Yeah, Sterling Sound.
So Sterling Sound has done it, and we were at their facility in Nashville, and they have this
You mean their spaceship?
their spaceship. Well,
That's
it's
so
like
cool.
a sound. It's crazy. The room
Yeah.
was doesn't even matter.
It is the meme.
Yeah,
Who's the meme of?
I don't know what you're talking
Where
about.
they're sitting at the sound thing, and they're like, eyes are big and like the hair's blowing back.
That's like the RCA guy. I guess?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, shouldn't have brought that up. Go on.
the room is soundproof, so when you go in, it goes
Yeah.
and seals up. But
Yeah.
what I'm talking about is in the back, they have this old gear, and it was like this like French machine that used to like master vinyl records from like the 1960s. And there's only 2 of them left in the world, and nobody knows how to fix them.
Yeah.
You know, because vinyl lost interest.
Of course.
And, you know, and only like...
So then no one's getting certified to learn how to do it because it's like, that's
we
just a waste.
Lost the knowledge. And so they
Yeah.
have this thing that was supposedly amazing in the 60s and 70s, and everybody used it. But now no one knows how to work the machine anymore.
I know. And I mean, I'm sure there are plans and instructions somewhere.
And you
but
can sort
like,
of figure it out, but yeah.
where it's good. It's probably
Yeah.
in someone's box, and it's, you know, whether or not that person's even alive anymore. It's been shuffled through estates, and who knows where it is. It is interesting. I am very curious to see, as I think the value of a college degree lessons, how many more people will just automatically go into trade school or get certifications. I mean, actually, I was just watching TV, and there was a commercial, and I think it was Indeed.com. And the girl is being interviewed for a hospitality job. And she's saying, you know, I have 10 years of hospitality experience. And the person interviewing her is like, that's wonderful, but I see here on your resume, you don't have a college degree. And she's like, but I have 10 years of hospitality experience. And they're kind of going back and forth. And she's like, so would like a Dutch literature degree be better? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, zoology? It's like, absolutely. She's just like,
this is a commercial?
She's like, poultry anatomy or something.
Yeah.
He's like, yes. And she's like, basically, what the fuck? You're telling me I could have a degree in anything and it would better qualify me for this position. And then the whole concept of the commercial is that on Indeed, they'll match you with people who actually look at your resume, see your work experience, match you with the right place. That's a shift
cool.
in conversation.
Huge cultural
and
shift.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess maybe I just answered my own question. But I think that's extremely important. And like you were just saying, I feel like we've lost a lot of people and a lot of years of people doing specific trades or getting certified in specific things, that we just don't have the quality workers that we maybe would have right now, because for so many years, especially our generation.
Well, we did a really good job of casting shame on plumbers. Plumber butt cracks. There's a trope. You know, it's this idea that like, these guys who do these blue collar jobs are stupid.
Yeah.
You know, when really they have all this knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, like how many times, I mean, and then I feel like now it's flipped on itself where the intelligent people don't know how to fix anything.
Yeah.
You know?
That's very true.
Yeah, you have all these degrees, but if your dishwasher breaks, you don't even know how to fucking wash your own dishes.
Right.
You know, it's like, what do you do?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that there is more of a conversation around all of it right now.
I work in a trade. We support people. All of our business is based around trades.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So I think it's swinging in the right direction, because I mean, at the end of the day, my degree doesn't mean anything.
Well, you're good at communicating.
But that was my minor. That wasn't even my actual degree. But yeah, I mean, I didn't need my sisters didn't finish college.
Right.
They're both in extremely successful careers, and once again, it's just nice to know that the conversation has shifted. People are shifting.
Well, and I think people are also shifting, like appreciating motherhood.
Right.
Putting value on that again. Everyone's like, God, childcare is crazy expensive.
Yeah.
Raising children is really hard.
Yeah.
Wow, maybe we underappreciated people
for sure
who take care of kids.
For sure. I mean, I think just being allowed to look beyond the college degree, you're realizing how many things were undervalued and are extremely vital to the success of society and of our culture and of life.
It's good to do it before AI kills us all.
Yeah, have one more stab at it, you know?
We'll finally, kumbaya, we'll all be like, oh my God, we can make it through. We really appreciate each other, and then the machines will kill us all.
Yeah. I like, this is sort of a segue. It'll be nice to have like really good AI grocery delivery.
Right.
Because I had the most mind-blowing experience
at Costco.
This really kind of rattled me, because I was like, I'm extremely concerned for humans. I think it was maybe just last week we talked about
The shopping carts.
shopping cart
Yep, yep.
people who are also usually the toilet paper people. Or for those who didn't listen, shopping cart people are the people who
You don't return them.
You don't return your shopping cart. You leave it in your parking space. You leave it in the middle of the parking lot. You leave it just in a really inconvenient space, even though there are corrals right there, and no one's gonna punish you, but you're just kind of doing a shitty
That's why
thing.
we know people won't do their fair share.
Exactly. So I was leaving Costco the other day, and I don't know if you've been to Costco, the shopping carts are massive.
They're very large.
They are double the size of a normal shopping
At
cart.
least,
I mean,
yeah.
I look like the tiniest little
Yes.
person. Like, they come up to my chin, basically. I'm pushing my shopping cart out. It's 9 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of shitty out. And I noticed that, so, it's just kind of like a normal lane of parking on two sides, and then you can drive in
Mm-hmm.
between. And the corral is just kind of right in the center of it. And they're pretty big corrals.
They have to be for a big ass cart.
And I parked kind of at the far end, so I had to pass the corral, and then I would have taken my cart back to the corral. But the carts are way outside of the corral to the point where they're actually blocking what would be one of the lanes of traffic in the little parking area.
So people were taking them back.
So they're taking them back, but it's now blocking traffic.
Right.
It's complete. It's like, yo, I'm putting it back, but like, no, you're actually causing an issue right now by putting it back. And this is not walking blocks back to the Costco.
Yeah.
You'd have to maybe walk another couple 100 feet to put it back. So anyway, so I'm seeing people just like, okay, I'm putting my cart back. I'm putting my cart back. But now it's building up. Cars can, now there's only one lane to go. So now like traffic's backing up in the little parking lot. So then people can't back out because the goddamn carts are halfway in the middle of the driving part. So I unload my stuff and I was like, fuck that. I'm taking it back inside.
Right.
And I'm telling
Don't be
somebody
part of
because
the
I looked
problem.
around and I was like, someone has to be coming out soon. Like, from leaving Costco to unloading my car to coming back, like someone had to have been like, yo, Costco, someone needs to go fix this. No, nobody. So then I go back into the little entryway and there's no carts because they're all in the corral. And I went to the person who signs you in or, checks your card. And I was like, hey, y'all need to fix this.
Yeah.
And he was like so confused. I was like, buddy, someone needs to go
blocking
get
traffic.
It's blocking traffic. And he's like, and he finally understood and was like, okay. But I was like, I am the only person who went up and Costco was fucking packed.
Yeah.
This was Martin Luther King Day.
Right. So people are off work.
So people are off work. The place is a goddamn zoo. It was so interesting. And then after I told the guy, I walked back to the car. People are still
trying.
putting the carts. And
Even
then,
though they know that it's causing an issue, it's clear.
Yes.
And it's getting worse.
Yes. And then they have the more like industrial size carts like you would use a Lowe's or
pallet,
something,
yeah.
like a big pallet one. And this woman is trying to shove it into another regular cart.
You could.
I wanted to scream. I don't know. I just wanted to go up to that woman and just shake her and
It's
be like,
absolutely comical.
you obviously need to like realign some shit in your brain. Like, one, that doesn't fit into that cart because it's completely different. Two, it's in the middle of the street. Like, it was, rant over.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that say about everybody?
I have-
Because I'm like, is that still just laziness? Is that just like slightly more conscientious laziness?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, I still care and I want to do
did
the
the
right
thing.
thing, but I refuse to work any harder.
Any harder. Yeah. I'll do this minimum requirement, but I won't go above and beyond.
Yeah.
Which is also just another thing that's very common with people where most people won't do more than is the bare minimum
Yeah.
for everything.
Right. And so I guess you're like, well, I'm at least baseline doing the thing.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of sad.
Well,
It's just like, there's no.
now you got to think about it as opportunity.
Yeah.
You need to be the type of person who does go a little extra.
Yeah.
And then in life, you'll get a little extra.
Yeah.
If most people won't do it, most people won't even do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So I think of it as opportunity and be the good example.
Yeah.
Be a positive force. If people see that it's an issue and then they see you pushing your cart all the way back in, maybe then they'll be incentivized.
Right.
Like, hey, you know what? I do see that this is an issue.
Yeah.
I could roll this shit back in. It's just funny because I immediately think about our maintenance guy and how when it's cold out, he just turns all the heat up as high as it'll go.
Right.
And then just leaves it there as if setting it at 85 when it only needs to get to 72 will somehow get it there faster.
Right.
But it doesn't.
No.
You could just set it at the temperature you want it at.
It's still going to get up there
but
just
he
as fast.
can't do that at all. And then he doesn't ever reset it.
Yeah, so the temperature changes as it does every 6 hours in Ohio.
So then, it'll be 9 one day, 50 degrees the next day.
Still set at 85.
It's still set at 85. So now it's
Sauna.
85
Yeah.
in the studio. But it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And I struggle with it because it baffles me. I end up at slightly a loss for words.
It's good that it baffles you.
I suppose, but it does sort of worry me then because I'm like, I just feel like this shopping cart example, just the amount of people that were doing it.
Right.
I'm like, is this just the example of what life is like now? It was so weird.
Yeah, I think that's how a lot of problems in society form.
Probably.
Is people try to do the minimum or the minimum right thing they're supposed to do, and then they just keep doing it.
Yeah.
To the detriment of others,
Or as things change, they don't change.
They don't change.
And they don't think a little
bit
differently.
Normally that's the right thing to do, but in this instance, it's not.
It wasn't, yeah.
But they don't pivot, they don't think creatively, they don't think outside of their purview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope this inspires people to be a little creative, think outside of...
Be perceptive.
Yeah.
Help each other out.
Yeah.
I still like Costco.
Always think about your surroundings, the people around you.
You should always
how your actions affect others.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. I feel more positively about it now.
Good.
Well, the funniest thing was I was waiting to tell you about it.
You really wanted
until
to tell
this
me.
conversation, and I couldn't. I was
resist.
like, you got to hear what happened today. It was wild.
Thinking about things not really being accomplished or done, Pittsburgh doesn't give a fuck about the streets.
Oh my God.
But
Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh.
I love the
reason.
city. Yeah.
We had a really nice time.
We had a great time in Pittsburgh. It was really fun.
I think anytime you get out of your own bubble is extremely important.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to stay in your little world, in your safe world with things that even if there's a lot of stuff going on in it that's interesting and unique and fun. Going somewhere that you are not familiar with is such a great way to expand your mind, your emotions, your everything. And I mean, I think one of my biggest takeaway from this trip was we just need to do little one-nighters places way more often.
We have this great opportunity where Pittsburgh, Detroit, Indianapolis, Louisville, Cleveland, Cincinnati, all 3 hours or less.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then if you expand it to 5 hours, Chicago, Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
Not Philly, but close enough.
There's a lot of shit.
DC is only 6 hours away.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you can be there very quickly, very easily.
Yeah, so it's nice, and I would like to take more opportunities to do that.
How many skulls did you see?
3?
At least 3.
I think 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boney Tony's had some skulls.
There was some skulls. Well, I remember the first one when I was like, wait, I think that's a fucking skull.
Well, they're veiled.
That's
veiled. The creepy
and they
thing.
have like a crown.
Yeah.
And you
see, through this wispy little veil.
Oh, it's creepy.
Yeah.
So we went over to the little museum to learn about the priest who acquired all the what artifacts? Relics, all the relics. And then, but did you hear that the docent mentioned, she was like, oh yeah, he used his inheritance to start the collection? Did you hear her say that?
I didn't hear her say inheritance.
Yeah, she said inheritance as like a
of course.
crucial thing. But I was like, that's fascinating that this priest in like 1860 or whatever then used like a windfall of money that he somehow got from a dead relative to start collecting the second largest collection of relics outside of the Vatican. Yeah. Over 5,000 pieces. A lot of them are like really teeny tiny. Yeah. Just little shards of bone. Mm-hmm. But like, here's all the apostles. Or whatever. Yeah. Like, and you're like, really? I don't know. But
I know. You have to question all of it.
There were like 600 letters of certification, you know, from the Vatican and stuff. And
which still...
Yeah, I know, it's all magic. It's all fucking magic anyway. But the skulls were fucking real.
They're definitely human skulls. I don't know
human skulls.
That person was anyone...
An actual saint or not.
Yeah, but you know what? Just
It was powerful. It was
if
beautiful.
it makes you a better person to believe in these things.
It looked cool.
Then, yeah, it was beautiful.
It was really
yeah,
cool.
It was also snowing, so it was like very magical.
It was magical.
And,
yeah.
Bonnie Tony's. It was a hit.
Yeah, St. Anthony's in Troy Hill. So like 2 miles from downtown Pittsburgh.
Up the hill.
Up a literal hill. Liz was a little concerned.
Well, it was one of those hills that you turn to go up it, and in dreams when you're going up a hill and you basically just start falling backwards because it's so steep.
Like. Yeah.
It felt a little bit like that.
Yeah.
And I was a little nervous, but we made it.
Then Sandwiches of History.
What a treat.
Was so fun. Barry is great. Check out Sandwiches of History on all your social medias. But it was a really fun show. But it inspired us to late night bash Primanti's. Just
big ass sandwiches with so many French fries on them.
And so every sandwich on the menu, no matter what kind of sandwich it is, you had like a turkey sandwich.
I just had a turkey and cheese.
Yeah, and mine was a Reuben, but fistful of French fries on it.
Well, they came and they're, I don't know, at least 5 inches high.
They're already so big.
And I looked and I was like, Jesus. And I was like, oh, because 3 of these inches, it's just a pile
fries.
of French fries. So typical me. I
You
took
took
them
them
all off and ate them as a side item with
not.
ketchup,
I
like
just
a
went for
normal
it.
ass
No,
person.
I just fucking went for it.
Oh my God, it was so fun though.
It was so fun.
It was so fun.
So cold, but no, we had such a great experience in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, an easy drive.
Super easy.
Yeah.
But the city itself, it was so funny. They did not attempt to scrape or clean the road. They were just like, whatever, man. There's a lot of hills here. Good luck.
They're like, if you're here, you know about Pittsburgh and have at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it just really kind of inspired me to hopefully figure out some more little trips that we can take.
Well, definitely Detroit.
Oh, love Detroit.
Love Detroit when I go back for sure. I've not really done much in Indy. I've played there a bunch, but I've never gone out in Indianapolis.
I think
at
Indianapolis has really grown its downtown in the past. My dad worked over there for a few years and actually had an apartment there when he was working during the week. And so for a few years we would pop over occasionally, but we just didn't really spend that much time exploring the city. But I just feel like even when he was there was so much development and so much growth happening. And that was, I don't know. Oh God, longer.
Yeah.
7 or 8 years ago or something.
I do remember moving your dad in with your mom.
That
which
was the
so funny.
funniest thing. Oh my God.
And it was such a college style.
Yeah, so my dad, he had a job in Indianapolis that required him to be there Monday through Friday. And at the time, they were living in Dayton. So it's not a far drive, but it just made way more sense to get this apartment. And so we helped them move. I think we just found all this random furniture we had, a few new things. Some
Goodwill shit, yeah.
But he got this apartment in just the most millennial building ever, which was fun. Had a rooftop pool. It was in the middle of downtown, right next to a Whole Foods.
But it's him and another dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, his partner, Dave, business partner. And we're moving in. And my mom's totally helping, but it was moving your kid into their first apartment, but it's my dad. With my mom, they're still very much married. Happily married.
She had fun visiting.
Oh, then she would go over for the weekends, and sometimes he would come home. Sometimes she would go there. Sometimes she would just spend the week there.
Yeah.
She was still working at the time, so but yeah, that was
so fun.
I remember at the time not really thinking much about it, and then afterwards being that was kind of interesting.
It was, it was just interesting.
Weird thing.
There was nothing no,
not
okay,
at
he's
all.
got this project, he'll be there. And we knew it was not permanent.
Exactly.
The idea is okay, or whatever, he's going to be working on this project. But yes, it was very funny to move your dad into an apartment with your mom.
But I do think that Indy has grown a lot since then and will be a very fun city to pop over to and check out. So maybe we'll do some more of that. I mean, it's just the worst time to try and drive anywhere right now.
Yeah,
it's
I have no interest.
You're gonna get stuck in snow. It's gonna be kind of shitty. Well, it's just hard. It's you want to go explore.
Right.
Even in Pittsburgh, we were excited
we tried to walk
to the strip
wrong
district.
Shoes.
Did not know it was going to be that snowy.
Well, because it wasn't here.
Exactly.
That was the big thing. Is Columbus was clear.
Yeah, but anyway, it's we made it to a destination, and it was well, I can picture what this would be like on a nice sunny day.
We could have walked everywhere.
We could have walked everywhere, and it would have been so fun. So, not the best time to try and travel.
You did win trivia.
I won. Yeah, I mean, I never win anything, let alone trivia.
Yeah.
But I knew how many bridges were in Pittsburgh.
You knew exactly.
I knew exactly. because I had looked it up earlier in the day.
We had talked about it.
Because we talked about it, because years ago, a cab driver asked us as a trivia question if we knew how many bridges were in Pittsburgh. And, Pittsburgh, known for the rivers.
We're like, oh, there's 40.
I think I said like 16 or something. Because I was thinking, Columbus, Columbus, there's maybe 3 or 4 bridges. And I was like, so Pittsburgh probably has, maybe double or triple or quadruple the amount. And he gave us the number. And I remember at the time.
This is at Sandwiches of History.
Well, no. I'm still telling the story.
Oh, sorry.
I'm still telling the story.
Yes, I hear
talking
you.
about when the cab driver.
I thought you were talking about
I'm telling the story.
show. Yes.
So anyway, the cab driver told us the number, and we were like, okay, that's the number. And then it was sort of in the back of my mind when we just went this past weekend. I was like, but what is the actual number? So I looked it up, got it in my head. I was like, that's the number. And then at the Sandwiches of History event, they did a trivia section about sandwiches. It was about the history of sandwiches, Barry's history, types of sandwich, etc. Mm-hmm. But then basically for Final Jeopardy, Final Trivia, for all the points, who knows how many bridges are in Pittsburgh. All these Pittsburghers are in the crowd.
This is like Slumdog Millionaire.
And
how do you know all the things?
Right. And I shot my hand in the air immediately. Yeah. So, and there were a ton of people around us. It was an intimate gathering. So it wasn't like I was sitting there looking on my phone or anything. And, a couple people were kind of guessing, but not quite sure. And they were like, okay, well, who knows the exact number? My hand is still straight in the fucking air.
Other people in the crowd was like, she knows.
They're like, she knows, she knows. And they were like, are you sure? And I was like, I'm positive. And they're like, all right, what do you think? And I was like, 446. And then they pull it up on the screen. It's 446. The crowd went fucking wild. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not even from here. Yep. But I won a button. That was cool. And, I'm a winner now.
You're a winner. I think more than anything, the glory.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Bragging rights.
It was fun. It was a really good time. So I'm glad that he's doing this little live show. I think it's
super fun. I recommend.
Very wholesome experience.
If it comes anywhere near you, go. It's very cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's adding dates all the time.
Mm-hmm. They just added Cleveland.
Yep. Barry, if you need someone to promote your shows, we're right here.
When you come to Columbus, let us know.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think we're just playing a lot of rock and roll right now.
Yep, this Saturday is the birthday party cover set, which will be really fun.
Well, the funniest thing is they just keep asking us to play longer and longer. So we keep just having to add songs to the cover set, which is fun. It's a reason to practice. It's a reason to... Having a reason to practice is pretty much the only way I will practice. Right. I think a lot of people feel the same way.
It's hard to be motivated. Is there an end game? Is there a goal here?
Yeah. So when we were told that we needed to play a little longer, I was like, fuck it. Okay, let's add these songs. We'll play them. I played for a while yesterday. It's just nice. So we'll see how many we actually get through. We'll see how many we get through without getting too fucked up on pudding shots.
Well, the pudding shots are classic.
Oh my God. Lex's mom makes these lethal.
They're great.
So
They're so
delicious.
Good. It's such a treat.
Pudding shot. I had never had a pudding shot. Jello shots.
Right,
people are very familiar with Jello shots. Pudding shots, though, are such a goddamn treat.
Well, and they go pretty crazy with the flavors.
Oh, yeah, because you have Oreo, you have cookie, you have cupcake, you have... Oh, my God, they're so good.
I think they're going to do a strawberry shortcake this year.
As they should. Yeah. That is incredible. Yeah. But you have a few of those and you are feeling it.
And then wants to play
you're
last.
Feeling it in your brain and in your tummy.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. It'll be fun.
I'm optimistic.
Me too. But it's just nice to be playing guitar a lot.
Yes.
It feels good. My calluses are back. My fingernails are short.
Well, to keep it up, because after next weekend, after the Newport, we don't really have anything lined up.
Well, then that's the plan, is to book. Which is just...
Alley Islands reached out.
That's wonderful.
So,
we have something in May.
I'll check in with them.
No, it's something that I've really been struggling with. And I think it's just gotten harder in the past few years. Just booking shows. Just being an independent artist, band, whatever. Promoters, I mean, we know some promoters. Promoters can do wonderful, lovely things. But a lot of promoters just don't give a fuck anymore.
Generally.
They just don't even do their job.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, you reach out to try and book a show, and then they're basically like, okay, well, figure absolutely everything out, and then maybe we'll give you the date.
You got to find the other acts. You have to figure out, you have to come to us with a full bill. You have to get the other acts. You have to tell us the times.
So God forbid you're trying to play a city that you've never played. It's almost impossible. Yeah. So it just sucks because, like, I mean, I need to just get over it, but it's been a big mental barrier for me because it's like I want to book shows. I want to play shows really, really badly. But it's so freaking hard. And it's just a ton of no responses. Mm-hmm. As in, you don't get a responance.
People just don't even acknowledge.
There's zero acknowledgement. Or just like flat no's, but like, no, like, but hey, let's maybe look at this other date. Or why don't you try this venue? Or why don't, so it's just like, every single time you want to book a show, you have to start from absolute scratch. And then, I mean, unless you want to pay somebody to do it.
Right.
But even then, those people don't want to take you unless, you know, you have this many followers on social media, you've done this many things. It's a chicken or the egg situation. Right. It's like, well, I can't get those things because I can't get the shows. And I don't know. It used to be... I don't know if it used to be easier because we were just playing more often or if it actually used to be easier. People cared a little bit more. I don't know. But struggle freaking bus.
Yeah. No, I agree. And even like when you do pay, a lot of it's fake too. You know, it's like, okay, you can pay for like Spotify campaigns or social media stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like we can guarantee 20,000 plays, but those aren't organic. And so those aren't real listeners.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, no one's still coming to the
show. That doesn't translate to bodies at the show or actual fans. Same thing with social media stuff. It's like, we can get you 60,000 followers, but you post something and it still gets 2 likes.
Exactly.
Because those are all fake.
Exactly.
So
that's just a whole weird mind fuck.
Yeah.
And I know that like they're trying to really crack down on stuff like that. Any of this bot stuff, obviously that's a big topic of conversation. But I don't know. I mean, it just makes you want to do more and more things in person.
Oh, for sure.
Be way less online, way more offline.
I think that'll be a trend as AI increases.
Yeah.
That sort of as we like rely on technology more and more. That's why Etsy gets more popular. Yeah. People want bespoke handmade goods because it's so easy to get stuff on Amazon and Temu and stuff.
Right.
You know, there's always like a counter faction.
You need to, you know, put a little brain thing on somebody and test like their reaction endorphins and like.
Well, because it is less on social media. On social media,
or just like your response when you get something in the mail from Amazon that's, you know, just kind of a generic thing, or something from Etsy that's this homemade, handmade thing. It's like, what is the difference in reaction?
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee it's higher with the more handmade bespoke thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I don't know anymore. Sometimes because they're both still coming from the online world. Because then you could factor in, okay, what is the person's reaction when they're buying it in the store and they're having the interaction with the cashier and they're physically touching it before they buy it and they're experiencing the whole store.
They have done experiments over like, you know, getting likes on social media versus getting a compliment in real life.
Oh, that's interesting.
So we know that if someone's like, hey, your hair looks good in real life, it's a way higher. It's a little dopamine release. And they've measured that. And it's like, that's why it's so much harder online to get the same amount of joy.
Takes a lot more likes.
Clicks,
yeah.
Than it does in a real life interaction.
I wonder what that actual number is. Like the average. Like, is it 12 likes versus a compliment? I remember like hearing about this.
It might have been in Coddling of the American Mind.
Oh.
It might be a Jonathan Haidt thing.
You might be right.
Yeah. I think that is brought up there, and he's a psychologist. So.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be an interesting study to work on, or anything in this realm would be very interesting, very fascinating. Just to pivot, I had to publicly speak yesterday.
You did great. You did a great job.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the compliment. It made me feel a lot better. But it's just funny. I guess maybe it's our own perspective on ourselves, or because like I don't know. Before I spoke, I was very, I wouldn't say I was necessarily confident in what I was going to say because it was an informal thing. I did not prepare anything, but I knew what I was there to talk about.
You're on a committee. You're going to talk about what you do on the committee.
Exactly. But it's in front of a room of people who, a lot of whom are much older and, quote unquote, I wouldn't say more successful, but like just some serious people.
Further along in life.
And so I'm trying to get a point across clearly while still being engaging. But anyway, I got up there and it was just like, oh shit, now I'm losing everything. I felt completely out of control. I just felt, well, okay. But my point being, so then I get done. Of course I get flushed and that's just who I am. And I'm like, okay, I did fine. But as I'm looking around, I think that people are like, you're doing great, sweetie. Like, keep it up. And I'm like, oh God, I'm doing terribly. They're trying to encourage me, all this stuff. And then it's like, I'm of course the first one to go.
Right.
So then I walk back to my little spot and more of these people go. And I'm like, oh my God, they're crushing it. They know exactly what they're doing. They obviously publicly speak all the time. Like everyone's doing so well. And I almost was like bummed out about it. And then, after, we had dinner and we walked home and I didn't even bring it up until we were walking home, and I was just sort of like, oh God, I just kind of like, I don't know, I didn't do as well as I wanted to, and you were like, what the fuck are you talking about?
100%.
Like, you were the best, and you weren't saying that just to like cheer me up. You were just like, no, and it just made me, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I don't know, maybe have more confidence in yourself.
Yeah, well,
everybody.
Out of most people, you're better at it just because you are an entertainer.
Yeah, I guess so.
And because you have performed so much on a stage that when you do speak, it's a little clearer, a little more concise, less ums.
Yeah.
You're good at getting your point across.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's very sweet.
It's very true.
But I think my takeaway from it was, all right, I should probably have a little more confidence in myself.
Yeah,
and
you should.
Know that, and I think that's to tell everybody to be a little bit more confident.
I know in the creative sector, though, anytime you do anything, you always think it sucks.
Absolutely.
And I think public speaking is the same thing.
I mean, anytime you're basically selling yourself, and public speaking is very much performance. I have to do it again on Friday, so let's see how it goes. This is prepared, though. This is prepared. I will actually be reading. I've written it. It'll be different.
I got to read something, right?
You will be reading part of the address to the haggis.
Yes.
So yeah, Friday. So January 25th is the birthday of Robert Burns.
Oh, Robbie Burns.
Robert Burns was a poet in the 1700s from Scotland, widely regarded as the national poet of Scotland. He actually wrote the poem that was then turned into what we now know as Auld Lang Syne, which is very cool.
That's very cool.
And every year on the anniversary of his birth, for centuries now, people gather together to celebrate Robert Burns. He died when he was 37.
Right.
And it originally started, his friends gathered a few years after his death.
It was like 5 years after his death.
To read poetry, drink scotch, just sort of memorialize him.
Yeah.
He was famously drunk. And it just evolved over the years. And now it's become a staple, especially in the UK, to host these Burns Night celebrations. And so it's primarily people gather together anywhere. I mean, tons of pubs across Scotland, the UK, and at large. But then people host private Burns Night celebrations, and you dress in some version of tartan. Some places are extremely informal. Some places it's black tie. And you obviously drink a shit ton of scotch. And you recite his poetry. So everywhere and I think in Scotland, on the more informal side of things, you almost bar hop.
Right.
So you go from like bar to bar, kind of, and the night kind of goes on as you move from bar to bar. And so there's a book that you read from. And you just pick one of his poems.
Yeah.
I mean, he had hundreds of poems, and they're in old Scottish.
The way they're written is so funny.
It's impossible.
And you can't
like you think you have it. You're like, all right, I'm on the beat. I got this. And then he like throws out a word and you're like, well, I'm off. I'm completely off.
Yeah, the way that it's written too is you have to have an accent.
Totally. Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. And like, good luck with that. And then haggis is the traditional like main menu item for Burns Night, which is basically like the dregs of the meat.
It's just all the bits ground up,
stuffed into normally like a lamb stomach, the lining.
It kind of
a
tastes like
lamb.
sausage.
It's actually, you're not actually supposed to serve it in the United States.
Right. It's illegal.
It's like not FDA approved.
Because of the bits that are in it.
And the lining itself, I would sort of imagine. But it's a thing. And so last year we're gonna have it, the haggis.
Don't tell the cops.
No. Last year was the first year that we organized a Burns Night celebration, and it was great. Over 80 people showed up and did a scotch tasting and read some poetry and dressed in Highland cocktail was the
Highland cocktail attire.
That was the attire. And it was a blast. And so we're really hoping that it turns into an annual thing.
I think it'll be an annual tradition.
And it's just a nice thing to do on a cold wintry night.
Warms you up.
Warm yourself up, read some poetry, sing Auld Lang Syne, get slightly debaucherous. It's great.
It's great.
It's great. So yes, before you serve the haggis, there is a poem, basically the address to the haggis. And so it's fun. You read it, and almost toward the end, there's a line, and you're basically supposed to put the haggis down,
you stab it,
hold up a knife, and stab it as you say this line. So I think you're somewhere around that. I don't know.
Can't wait.
It's going to be loose. It's going to be fun. It's going to be kind of organic. We're going to see where the night goes.
Sure.
I think the more scotch you drink, the further the night just goes.
We're going to play the next night.
Well, I know. That's the thing.
So I got to keep my shit together.
Yeah, probably just
a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And just really like taste each one.
Speaking of drinking, got to get to Chuck E. Cheese.
Is it already time?
It's getting close,
Is it cheese time?
Yeah, I think it's time to cheese.
That rat casino.
I know the rat casino.
I'm excited. It'll be funny.
We'll let you guys know how Chuck E. Cheese is.
All right, yep, off to the cheeses. Bye.